All right, so I'm looking to do a little bit of muskie fishing today. Doing this year in real life, and just kind of wanted to go through some of what I found in the game, some similarities, some things that are different. But with the Lake Dillon edition, very close, kind of reminds me of right here where I'm at, just outside of Green Bay, Wisconsin. I'm planning on going on the Fox River. We've got the bay obviously just to the north. I do a lot of smallmouth fishing, a lot of largemouth fishing this year. Finally got the tackle set up to be able to go out for muskie. Large fish, I mean, we're talking 40, sometimes 50 pounds. I hope that I'm lucky enough to have the problem of trying to land a fish that is that large. But wanted to go in and just kind of show what I found so far in game. I've already caught a 53 incher, both a pike out of Lake Dillon and a muskie. So I'm gonna talk some about the fish. Obviously, if you've checked out my YouTube channel, you know that I also have my aquarium. Would love to have one large enough eventually for a northern pike or muskellunge, or maybe even a few. But right now I've got a 180 gallon tank that I use for smallmouth bass. So do a lot of study on the fish from the scientific side of things, and I love the game. This has been a great way to spend the winter. And I don't really ice fish, which in Wisconsin, that's probably going to change this next year too. But I'm just not there yet on walking out on the ice. So, but that itch is bad. I can't wait for May to come about. May 25th is obviously opening day here in Wisconsin. So I'm hoping on that first day to be able to land a real muskie. So I'm going to get started with the gameplay. I'll go ahead and talk to you some about what I've got for fishing gear and what I'm doing in real life to get started with the with muskie fishing, and it's going to be trial and error. I'm not expecting to be successful. I've never hunted for muskie or pike before, so everything has always been smallmouth, although I have caught a few northern. Actually, that's a lie. I've caught 2 northern. Nothing to write home to mom about, but was 2 interesting strikes. One was on a head and torpedo, the topwater, and the other was on a spinnerbait, so a bladed, jointed spinner, silver with blue and silver. So again, I love fishing. Wisconsin is just, there's an abundance of places to go fishing up here, and just a stone's throw from where I'm at, I have some of the best muskie fishing in the world, with a lot of people convinced that the next world record will be coming out of the bay or the Fox River here. So that spawn is going to be important. But I'm going to talk to you about one, using the fish finder and what I'm looking for in terms of size of fish that show up there. And so I'm curious about where I'm at. You see the middle fish there is about the size that I'm looking for. Real life muskie fishing, I'm using baits that are over 12 inches long. I've got some of the bulldogs from Muskie Innovations, and I've got the double bucktails from Muskie Mayhem, the cowgirls, the double cowgirls. So doing a lot of black and orange. My 2 gliders, I've got one that's got a black body with an orange tail. I've got another glider that's got the walleye kind of perch sort of look with a bright orange tail as well. So for the game here, I'm looking at the larger baits. I've been using the Jenkilistic swim bait. It's 6 inches. It's about as big as it gets. There is the Tremor Shad, which is a 7-inch, and I'm going to be playing around some with that on this broadcast. And then one of the other things I've been considering is the spoons. And I know a lot of people use spoons in real life, but there's a 5-inch spoon. But there's some larger ones, I believe, towards the back, and I literally own every lure in the game. And these are the ones I'm looking at. You've got some 8-inch spoons, so I'm really looking at the gold to kind of replicate that perch walleye sort of hatch that I would assume would be going on in the game. So let's start off with that. Let's start off with the Ben Parker Shattered Glass in the gold. That's a big lure. That should be large enough to hopefully land a trophy fish. So I do use the fish finder in the upper left-hand corner. to see what's coming across the fish finder as I'm casting. So I'm a firm believer that slower is better. I found this in real life, not only because of the drop shots, but because a lot of times in the aquarium, I can tell you just from personal experience, when a minnow just falls, if they're stunned or something like that, just falls to the bottom of the tank, the bass are quick to grab it on that fall. So really a big fan of slowing things down, using a constant rate. We see a little fish up there that I'm assuming is a small bass, maybe a crappie or a perch even. Not what I'm looking for necessarily on this lake, but you can see there's a fish swimming towards the lure right now. So we'll see what hits it. I can't do figure eights in the game, which anybody that does real muskie or pike fishing is well aware of what that is. But I do spend a lot of time doing a little jigging right on the edge of the boat. So we'll see if it yields any fish. Again, right before I started this broadcast, I went out. There was a 53 northern, 53-inch northern that I caught. I'll post that video up. But there's also one of the things about this being a fishing simulation that I found interesting. I did throw the Jankelistic swim bait out and actually got up to get a cup of coffee, and the controller just went nuts. So on the drop shot, the bass hit it. That was a good sized bass, nothing to write home to mom about. Trophy catch for this lake, I think it was just over 7 pounds. But it was really interesting to see that part of the game remained the same. So I'm looking at what I've got here. This is going to be a smaller fish. You can tell it's faster moving. And I'll talk about some of the settings. So what I'm using in terms of the baits, good crappie. So in addition to going slow, I've got the fastest retrieval of the bait casters on there for this. That would match real life. You're looking to really pull those bigger lures in quickly in terms of how many feet per second are coming into the reel on every turn. And this is going to be probably a larger fish. So what I found with the muskie in general and the bigger pike, it seems about 38 or 39 pounds on the drag. Seems to be where it's at. This might be a gar. Just looking at it, they tend to tire out a little quicker than the northern do. It's definitely a much shorter fight, but still a fun fish to catch. So again, going with the bigger baits for the larger fish. In real life, they're looking at obviously what energy they're expending for that meal. So it makes sense that a larger bait is going to be what you're going to use. And this is definitely a gar. Trophy catch, 48 inches. He's a 15-pounder. I've definitely caught bigger. As you see, this is not my personal best, but this is a good fish for this lake. So I'm going to continue. I see more big fish on the fish finder there. So I'm going to keep casting. I'm going to work my way around the boat and then come back. And again, using the slow retrieval, I found it to be the best. Definitely seems to, you don't cover as much ground as quickly, but you seem to get a better strike. Fewer of them where they're coming back towards the boat and have to ratchet up your retrieval speed real quick to have any chance at hooking them. And I like what I'm seeing on the fish finder there. I've got a fairly large fish that's coming across. That could be a large bass. That could be a small muskie. Could be a northern gar. Something in that size range. But I like seeing that sort of activity as I'm bringing the lure in. If he doesn't strike before I get to the boat on the retrieval, what I'm going to do is the closest approximation I can do to the figure eight on, and he struck. And see what we get here. This is a strong fish, slower moving, so it looks like we're going to have a smaller muskie or pike. And it does seem to me the smaller the fish are, the harder they fight. The longer the bigger the fish is, the longer the fight is. But I'm looking, like I said, I set that right around that 38 pounds for the drag, and a lot of times the larger fish won't spike the line tension gauge. The smaller ones a lot of times will, like this one's spiking that. So I'll drop it down to 37. But I'm guessing we're probably looking at a 20-25 pound fish here. This is a smaller fish, I can tell just from the silhouette in the water. Keeping the constant pressure. But this is going to be a longer fight. The pike and the muskie do tend to fight longer, so. So, good looking fish. Again, I said 20-25 pounds, 22 and 9 ounces, 35 incher. Wouldn't even be a keeper around here, but a good fish nonetheless. And really what I'm looking for to get started. I look at the fish finder. I see that big fish moving across there. That's definitely an encouraging. So I'm going to keep working. I'm going to come out right off the bow of the boat here, bring that in. And again, if I don't get a strike by the time I get the lure back to the boat, I'll be looking to do as close an approximation to the figure 8 as I can manage here in the game. So all right, didn't get a killer that time. It's amazing to me that a 9-inch fish is going to hit an 8-inch spoon, but for whatever reason, that does seem to happen quite often in game. So persistence is the key. Making sure that you continue to work the spots, but again, watching the fish finder, seeing what's out there, and whose interest you're getting. And again, the fish finder there, that's what I'm looking for. I want to see that big fish mid-level, and I'm pulling the bait. You can see on the left where the height of the bait is, so it's about mid-level, continuing to sink at this speed. And I do like to keep the tip of the rod down so I can get a nice solid strike, especially with the slow retrieval rate like this. And again, it looks like we're going to have another smaller fish. So again, an 11-inch fish hitting a 8-inch lure. So I don't know if I snagged it or what. In real life, that'd probably be the case. Give this a few more casts, see what this does, and if I'm not having any more luck with the larger fish, I think I'm going to switch over to the swim bait, talk about that some, and then look at what other options we have with the spinners and everything else. So it's one thing I do wish the game would do a better job of, especially with now adding the muskie, is having not having swim baits, having glide baits. And having things like the double bucktails that would allow you to specifically target the muskie. I wouldn't be surprised if they do a trophy pack like they did for the bass lures at some point for additional money. But this is what I was talking about before. So I've got the lure here. I'm up next to the boat. I can't do a figure 8, but I can do a retrieval rate that keeps the fish's interest. You can see when you hit the sweet spot there. And quite often I have found this to be very effective at getting a strike. And you can see I've got some interest there from a fish as they flirt with it. But I've caught some very large fish like that doing this. So And that's the reason I do that. It's that right up to the boat. A lot of times, if that fish hasn't bitten on the retrieval, when you stop and go along the side of the boat, you can entice him to strike. So we'll see what we land here and look at switching baits and maybe moving our location just a bit. This is going to be a good fish, I think, and this is exactly what I was hoping would happen when I was kind of jigging along the side of the boat. So I'm going to apologize right now. I'm color deficient, so I have a hard time picking out the fish, but once I see the fish's silhouette, I can normally tell about how much they're going to weigh, and I think this is another smaller fish. But I still have yet to be able to make out the silhouette. So if you'll bear with me, hopefully we can, we may find out together when I land him. But definitely the activity on the controller makes this feel like a somewhat smaller fish. And when I say smaller, they can probably under 42 inches maybe. Might be another 3-footer like the one that I caught before. But that fish finder is crucial. If all you're seeing is small fish, you're probably not going to find any big fish. And when you're out in the boating mode, the slower you can go when you hit a big fish, the higher the odds are that you're going to find that exact fish. He's putting up he's fighting longer than I thought he was going to. It may be a larger fish than I originally anticipated. I see a part of his silhouette there, but I'm having a really hard time with my color deficiency making out the outline. So I can see there's something moving, and I get the basic shape. But, well, that might be bigger than I thought. That's a great pike. That's a 46-incher, 32 pounds. I'd be proud to catch that in real life. I'd be thrilled. So we've got the fish finder there. There's still big fish in the area. We're going to continue to fish this. I'm going to go back off the bow of the boat. Not with that cast, though. Well, I'm just not having any luck casting. So we'll do a short retrieval. Again, see if I can get anybody to hit it on the retrieval. And if I can't, I'll do some of that jig work along the side of the boat like I've been doing in place of the figure 8. And again, the technique proved to be effective. I've got a fish. Again, having a hard time with the silhouettes today. I've got some light coming in a window that's making that even more difficult for me. So you're probably seeing everything better than I am. And what did we get this time? The walleye. Good fish. Plenty of those in the Fox River as well. Something I'm looking at also getting into in addition to doing some salmon fishing. I'm going to go back over. And I am just having a difficult time casting right now, and I'm not entirely sure why. I go through periods of time like this. One of the downfalls of the total control casting system is if your timing gets interrupted, it can be extremely difficult to get back in a good rhythm. So let's see what we have here. Feels like a bass the way it's fighting. And indeed it is, a smallmouth. Alright, this is going to be my final cast with the spoon. I'm going to switch over to the swim bait here. See what we can catch, if anything, on that. Maybe move up the location. See if I can find something bigger on the fish finder. And go from there. Again, looking at the fish finder, looks like crappie, some bass. Nothing real big showing up just yet. You'd be surprised how quickly that can change by the boat, though. All right, let's see what we've got. Another bass. All right, so first things first, let's switch up that lure. And we're going to go with the Jenkilistic swim bait. And we're going to move. Let's see if we can't get to a location that's got some bigger fish. And that right there is what I'm looking for. When I see two large fish like that, it's an indication that I'm on to good thing. So I'm just going to back the boat up. See if I can get a hit again, and if I can, I'll drop the line in right there. And the reality is, sometimes the fish moves. And that fish definitely moved. I did not get a second hit, but I was going a little faster than I would have liked to have been when I had those hits. So and that's a good hit, but I've seen better. And I'm going after trophies. So I'm going to forego what I guess is probably either a large bass or a small, muskier northern. And I'm on a school of fish right now. Alright, I'm going to take my chances. I think these are probably bass. Oh man, again with the casting. Terrible. That's more what we're looking for. So again, same thing. I'm going with a slow retrieval. I'll give it a twitch every so often, but not too often. But I'm liking the hit that I'm seeing right away. And the way this fish stopped, this is either a pike or a muskie or potentially even a gar. But again, I'm right at that 38 pounds of drag. And this is definitely a smaller pike or muskie. Guessing based on that light coloration that we're talking some form of muskie. Definitely not the big trophy I'm looking for. I can tell in the way that it fights. And I'm probably gonna, after I land this fish, we're gonna move again. Again, really want to get onto a big trophy if I can. Something over 50 inches is what I'm looking for. All right, so again, like we talked about earlier, ooh, got a northern. That light coloration threw me off, so again, about 38 inches. This is a smaller fish than I'm looking for. Really, like I said, my goal, that's interesting on the fish finder. Maybe I just need to be more patient. So my goal really, like I said, is to be over that 50-inch mark. And I think it's interesting to know, you know, they call muskie the fish of 10,000 casts. You do have to be patient. I think a lot of times we're spoiled by early success, and it does seem like I hooked up with another one of the ESOX family members. I don't know if I've got a pike or if I've got a muskie or what I've got at this point. But look at him take that line out even at 38 pounds. That's impressive. Yeah, he's just walking with it. This might be a bigger fish. This may be what I was hoping for. So again, really no give and just walking. There he comes. I'm most likely in real life, fish that's doing that is most likely going to be female. The larger fish, not the males. This appears to be a gar. Moving a little faster. That's why I say that, and I could be wrong, but to my eye, it looks like the gar move a little quicker than the muskie and the northern, who tend to be a little bit more methodical. And I'm absolutely wrong. It's a smaller northern. So, but again, as I was saying before, the smaller fish tend to fight harder. And that is just kind of evidence of what I was saying earlier. So I had a 14-pound fish there that pegged the line tension a few times and ran with the line at 38 pounds of drag. So you never know. But again, it does appear most times to my eye that the gar are the fastest moving, and then the smaller pike and northern are the ones that put up a stronger fight, where it's definitely a longer fight, but it's almost relaxing at times how little the line tension changes for a larger fish. So again, this one's moving slower to me. That indicates a bigger fish. Not always right. You see that false assumption I made last time where that got me. But it's interesting to note there's still a lot of activity on the fish finder. I think I'm in a good spot in terms of forage for the fish. And this fish is also walking out to 45 yards, but it feels different, and I wish I could explain why it feels different, but just in the hand, the vibrations come a little slower, just the cadence of the fight, and then again, just kind of at will, just taking it and walking away with it. And I'm really getting sun in that window, so I can barely see my screen. So you probably have a much better idea what fish I have than I do at this point. Doesn't seem like it's fast enough to be a gar to me, but I would guess maybe a smaller northern or muskie. Definitely not the trophy I'm looking for, but in real life, one I'd be thrilled to catch. I mean, anytime you catch a fish that's over 20 pounds, it's going to be a fight, even with modern gear. I mean, it's what I understand, the modern gear that we've got now, the fish are a lot greener when you finally land them. Definitely helps keep the fish alive. But you have to be more careful when handling them, because they've got a lot more energy, and it seems like the game doesn't do a good job of accounting for that. Ooh, beautiful muskie. Wow. Personal best on the tiger muskie. That's a hybrid between the northern and the muskie. In real life, these hybrids grow fast. A lot of times they're sterile, but voracious appetites, and they've got what they call hybrid vigor. If you hook into a tiger muskie, you're going to be in for one hell of a fight. Doesn't really happen so much around here where I'm at in Green Bay and the Fox River. I'm given to understand that in some of the smaller lakes here in northern Wisconsin, it does happen. And they're beautiful. I love the pattern. Again, being color deficient, I don't get the colors so much, but I love fish with the pattern, which is probably why I like the smallmouth bass in my aquarium so much. But yeah, I'm thrilled with that catch. Not a trophy, but those right there probably are in deep open water. So we're gonna put the fish in the water, the lure in the water. I'm gonna go back from where I just came and see what I can find out there. But my goal is to make this broadcast less than an hour, and I'd love to share a plus 50-inch fish with you. I think it's kind of what I'm after. That's the point of the tutorial. Proof of concept, if you will. I'm talking to you about what you need to do to catch big fish in the game, so it would be really helpful to actually catch one. So we'll see what we do. Not really encouraged by the lack of activity on the fish finder, but that can be deceptive at times as well. I've had hits when there's been nothing on there, but more often than not, activity on the fish finder is indicative of interest in the lure that's out there. So that can change from one side of the boat to the other. And that fish that's going across the screen right now is absolutely tiny. Quite possibly smaller than the 8-inch spoon I was throwing earlier. So we'll see what happens. Again, same fish. Now that fish is up higher in the water column, and I am definitely on the bottom. If you look on the position indicator there on the left. And again, if I don't get anything on the retrieval, I'm going to do the fake figure 8 and just go back and forth underneath the boat and see what, if anything, will come up and hit it. Mixed results with that, but as you've seen, I've had some luck doing that. But I'd be lying if I said it always works. So I'm looking to get the lure to about 3 foot of depth, maybe a little less. And then we'll just drag it like this and try to get the speed to match what the fish are interested in. And right now on the fish finder, all I'm seeing is small fish. But that doesn't always mean that that's all that's there. All right, well, that didn't seem to elicit what we were trying to go for. I'm going to try the other side of the boat real quick. Oh, terrible cast. And again, I'm releasing when the rod is too far back. I know what I'm doing wrong. It's just the muscle memory for whatever reason. Again, to about 3 foot of depth. Didn't get anything. We're going to see if we can entice anything underneath the boat. Keeping an eye on the fish finder. Do we see anything? Really not. And I think the correct course of action at this point in time to just go ahead and change locations. I'm not getting what I had hoped for. Now, in spring, and there doesn't appear to be any seasonality in the game, and that's one thing I'm going to say I'm kind of disappointed in. It'd be nice if they had a spawning thing, but I understand from a programming side how that might be a challenge for the developers to put that into the game. But at this time of year, I would, especially not so much in Minnesota, but in some of the warmer climates, you've already got the spawn underway, so I would expect the fish's location in the lakes to change. We don't really see that, at least I haven't noticed that in the game. I have noticed that some time of day can definitely seem to impact that. But what I'm looking for right now is just a little cove, a little bay. This one right here, this beach is going to be a little too large. But there's a little bay on the other side of that that I'm going to be kind of making my way towards. Just keeping an eye on the fish finder in the meantime. That is a big fish. That is a number of big fish. That's what I'm looking for. And I was going way too fast to be able to capitalize. So I'm going to see what I can do if I back up, if I find anything. Like I said, sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Going back over, but it's encouraging that I'm at least seeing some fish across the fish finder there as we go. A little too small, something larger, but I'm looking for bigger than that. That is definitely not a trophy on the fish finder. And we're going to abort that. Schools of smaller fish like that. I love seeing the big fish mixed in with them, like that big guy. But the point I'm interested in actually just popped up on the map. You see that little bay down there? That's where I'm looking to get to. I think that's going to be the spot that holds a lot of fish for me. That trophy that I'm looking for. So here it is, making my way into that bay. And the fish finder will prove me right or wrong. And there's the large fish we're looking for. So I'm going to do some combing through this area. Again, I believe there's a lot of evidence to support that large muskies and stuff and northerns prefer shallow bays. And that's kind of what I was operating off when I was looking at the map. And there's what I'm hoping is my trophy fish. Right there with those bait fish, I've got that jankelistic swim bait on there. That's what I'm going for. That's what I want to see. I'm hoping that the swim bait matches the forage, which appear to be a bunch of little crappie based on the fish finder. So again, we'll see what we've got. And small bass. So again, going to work my way around the boat. I know what I saw on the fish finder. Terrible cast. Going to use this as an opportunity again, if I don't get anything on the retrieval, to get up next to the boat here and see if I can do the game's terrible reproduction of a figure 8. So again, we're at about that 3-foot range. Going to come to the right. And you can see right there, I've got a follow. So I'm trying to, yeah, that's not the fish I'm looking for, honestly. And the one that hit it, I think, is probably a bass. But you saw the follow there, and that's why I do that. And I think it's funny that works in the game as well as it does in real life. And anybody that's been out musky fishing will tell you, the figure 8 when you're musky fishing is absolutely critical. Absolutely critical. You get a lot of follows where they literally won't strike until you do the figure 8. So they're looking for that difference in movement, that change of direction, I think causes them to strike from a lot of the videos that I've seen. And so I still got a pike, but not the one that was not the larger one that was following that into the boat. So I'm going to make a terrible cast again, probably. Oh, not so bad this time. And we're going to see if we can't get something larger than that again. My goal was to try to land a trophy within an hour. I will post the video of the 53-inch northern I caught earlier out of Lake Dillon after I post this video. This might be my huckleberry right here. We'll see. Or not. Walleye. Nothing against walleye. Great for dinner. Just don't like fishing for them. All right, so we had that big follow. I just did a short cast there. I'm going to see if whatever that was following this bait in will strike again. And it doesn't appear that I'm going to have that sort of luck today. So one other thing, when I have had a follow like that in there, I like to do is just pretty much short cast like this, 11 yards, bring it in. This is the pour cast. It simulates the pour cast I had before that I had that follow in on. Hopefully I can get another fish to follow. And all of a sudden I've become a world-class bass fisherman. And it never fails. If I was trying to show you a video on bass fishing, I'd be catching nothing but northern. That's how it goes at times. I think what I'm going to do is just drop this off the side of the boat. I'm not even going to really try to cast. So we're at about that 3-yard, 3-foot. We'll go like this again. And the funny thing is that appears to have worked. So again, you get caught up in making long casts, big casts. I know I did when I first started playing the game. I was amazed at how many fish I was catching up by the side of the boat. And even in some of the European lakes with the northerns, right by the shore, just with that technique. I've caught quite a few of the named pike. Alistair was one of the ones that I caught. There were a couple others, but very close to the shore. Again, using that back and forth, that change of direction sort of thing. I can't do the figure 8 in the game, but it seems like they kind of accounted for that and made that a real part of the game. So again, my stated mission is catching an over 50-inch fish. I don't think this one is going to be that large either, but I think this is going to be a decent catch. We'll see. And I do have on my channel, I did catch a 53-inch muskie earlier, a couple weeks ago. Actually, the first day the muskie were introduced to the game. So first day out, I caught a 53-inch muskie. I do have that 53-inch northern. That video that I'm going to post from earlier this morning, and then whatever we're able to catch here. But again, I do think bait size has a large part in determining what you're going to catch. Although, if I'm not mistaken, I think the muskie I caught before was, this is a nice muskie. And 42 inches. Not the huge trophy I'm looking for, but I would be absolutely thrilled if I caught that in real life. And I'm still showing some big fish on the finder. So I'm going to keep fishing this spot. I'm convinced that persistence pays off, and someday I'll learn how to cast. And more bass. So the clock's winding down on me. I got 12 minutes here to try to land that monster that I'm going after, and we'll see if I'm able to succeed. The one thing is the higher drag makes the bass fights very manageable. Gonna cast over this way. I think this is important. You got to work the different angles when you're fishing. I've had so many times when it's the third or fourth or even fifth cast before I even see anything pop up on the fish finder. And I'm looking at that right now. That's not very encouraging. Those are smaller fish. I would love to see something bigger than that. But I may have to try the other side of the boat. I may have to go back a little farther, cast more over towards those trees on the right there. Yeah, I don't know why I've forgotten how to cast. This is almost embarrassing at this point. Funny because I haven't caught many bluegill at all. Now I can't seem to catch anything but the fish I'm not trying to catch. So again, switching around, we're under 10 minutes now. Wow. Came right back towards the boat. I didn't get the retrieval speed up high enough to catch him before. And another 14-yard catch. That's just embarrassing. And it doesn't help that I'm not seeing the kind of fish I'd hope to find in the bay. But I also didn't pay attention to the time of day. I think the shallows tend to do better in the mornings and in the evenings. Lower light conditions, I think the fish move to deeper water in the middle of the day. Thinking this is a walleye. Moves a little bit more like a bass. This is a good sized fish. I don't know that it'll be a personal best, but I'm going to be happy with this catch nonetheless. Yeah, 11 pounder is a good fish. All right, I'm not seeing what I need to see on the fish finder. We're going to move. We got this point up here. Going to be checking that. I think this looks like a good location. I'll tell you what, let's switch over to the tremor shad. Again, knowing bait size does matter. That's a 6-inch bait. I'm sorry, that's a 7-inch bait. And we'll see what, if anything, we can land. The idea is, for a larger fish, you're trying to present a big meal. They're going to expend a lot of energy trying to get to that bait. And the likelihood that they're going to go after something bigger is much more likely. And even though the vast majority of the time I am a shore fisherman, I have found that to be true even fishing from the shore. The larger the lure you're using, normally the bigger the fish you're going to catch. And again with the casting. See, I can cast. Apparently it's the consistency part I have an issue with. So I'm thinking this is... I'll be honest with you, I don't know what this is. I can't see it. It's moving fast like a bass, but with that high a drag, it is a bass. Less than 5 minutes now, no pressure, but I did say I was going to catch a 50-inch fish. And the game looks like it could make a liar out of me yet. So Really just kind of move between these 2 points, a little bit deeper water here, hoping I can get into a larger fish, but I'll be honest, I am not seeing the fish that I saw on the fish finder are not interested in at all thus far in what I'm throwing. So knowing that time's running out, I'm going to move out here to a little bit deeper water. I can't tell you how badly I would love to run across the big fish right now. Like that one. And that's one of the things, you got to govern your speed. I'm not doing a good job of that right now. But I'm going to cast back in my wake and see what I can find. Again, the goal before I started this was an hour or less to have landed a 50-inch or larger muskie or pike. Have not been able to do that thus far. I got close with a 48, but that's not what I said. So you either do it or you don't. And right now we've got the tremor shad tied on, the 7-inch bait. We've tried the 8-inch spoons. I seem to have actually the most luck with the 6-inch Jacalistic swim bait. Seem to be the top lure thus far in terms of what I've been able to catch. But I just tied the tremor shad on a little bit ago, but I'm finding that I'm catching more perch, more bass. I actually got a walleye, but nothing in the way of northern or muskie at this point. So, and that's what we're trying to get. So, not real encouraged by what I'm seeing on the fish finder with less than 3 minutes to go. I hate to say it, but it looks like I'm going to fail. One never knows. There's 2 minutes and 30 seconds left, so maybe we'll get lucky. Again, using the slow retrieval, I've got it set down to number 1. Something I'm looking at changing. I used to get in the top 10 quite often if you look at the earnings and stuff like that, and even the shirt I'm wearing is indicative of some of the success that I've had at different times. So it's not that I don't know what I'm doing, but it does seem like the slow retrieval is not as effective as it used to be. So that may be one of the things that you want to consider switching up if, like me, you are no longer placing in at least the top 20 on the fishing tour. So again, the closest thing I can do to a figure 8, and I'm not getting any hits at all. So with less than a minute, we're going to head out towards the little island there. See what we can find. Doesn't look like I'm going to make my goal. Actually, I know I'm not going to make my goal. I won't even be able to land it in less than an hour. We're going to go out here towards the point on the island. And we'll see what we can find. I am going to switch. I am not liking that tremor shad. It's just not doing it for me. We can go with the, hell, we'll try from the trophy pack, the booty shaker. That's the 5-inch. We'll see what this does, if anything. Bring it in. This is my last cast before the hour mark. So again, even if I catch something, not going to land it by the time, well, I've got 15 seconds. So, we'll do this. I'll count this fish as part of my hour challenge. Might have hooked something good here. We'll see. He's just walking with that. Pegged it a couple times on the tension gauge. He's still just walking. Probably a she, if it is as big as I think it is. Yeah, we're going to count this. I'm hoping this is going to be my trophy fish right here. This seems like a good fish. Again, multiple runs. Pegging the line tension gauge. This is everything I'm looking for in this fish. I'm guessing this is going to be a large fish. Musky, northern, possibly my personal best gar. We'll see here. But just to run like that with it, this is... I've got high hopes. Feels like this could be a winner. And gonna run again. No, gonna come back. Let's see what we got here. Definitely a big fish. Definitely a big fish. This is gonna be the challenge beater. I'll let the audience decide. I hooked it before the hour was up, but I did not land it before the hour is up. We're at an hour and 1 minute, 11 seconds, and counting. So it's going to be your call if I beat the challenge, but this is going to be a big fish. I think this is going to beat the 50-inch requirement that I put out when I first started, and I'm happy about that. Great way to end the video. I will stop the broadcast after this. Like I said, I will post the video of the 53-inch northern that I caught earlier, but this is the way we like to end them, and it's up to you to decide whether I beat the challenge or not. If we're going to go a hard hour, and if that's the case, then I didn't. But if we're going to count from the time I hooked it, I just came in under the buzzer on the hook. So definitely am not going to land it within the hour's time. But this is what I was going for the entire time. This is a good fish. And I'll make sure I give you the shot of the map before I end the broadcast here so you can see where I'm at. Just came between the 2 points there in Lake Dillon, and then came around to this little island, and I'm fishing just off the point. I was actually fishing right along the side of the island with the booty shaker. Literally just switched over to this lure from the tremor shad and got the hit I was looking for. So interesting, because that thumper tail design is actually used in several musky baits. And let's see, did we break the 50-inch mark? That's a good fish. That's a huge pike. And we didn't. 47 inches, but that's still a great fish. That's a trophy catch. I'm thrilled with that. So I'll show you where I was at on the map here. I did fail in my challenge, unfortunately. As you can see on the fish finder, there's still another very large fish there. I'm not done yet. I'm not done yet. We're gonna go into extra innings. I want to see if I can catch that fish. I might not make the hour mark, but you know, I love those trophy fish, and it looks like I've got its attention right there. So again, we'll see what size this one is, but and I'll definitely show you where this island is on the map. But you should be able to figure it out. You can see the reeds at the end of the island. Again, if you've been watching, following along, we came between the 2 points there, swung around up to the left, and got out to the island. And I'm really just hoping that this is another trophy. This is what we do this for. So, and what I'm looking forward to doing here in May as we get into the start of muskie season in real life. Definitely not the trophy that I'm looking for. Not a bad fish. No such thing as a bad fish, but this one just does not have the size that the last one did. Strong fighter though. So I'll be a man of my word. We're going to run over a little hit here because I got greedy and I wanted one more fish, and I was hoping it'd be the plus 50-incher. But it was not. So we'll show you where I'm at on the lake. Again, I've had good luck with the booty thumper. I think that's a great lure. that big tail like that really undulates, and I believe that's what I caught my 53-inch muskie on. So not a bad fish, but not the trophy we're looking for. So to the map we go. You can see right there the island that I'm on, that little tiny island out there. And I can't make out the name from where I'm sitting. Unfortunately, my chair's quite a ways back, and at 40, I'm getting older. The eyes just don't work the way they used to. But looks like, let's see, get out of the recliner here. Take a look. We're at Pete's Place, down on the southern tip of that island. So Bob's Crossing didn't hold anything for me. I caught a lot of perch, caught a lot of bass down there. But Pete's Place there, the little island, right by the reeds, seems to be where I was pulling them out. So there you go.